Hello, everyone. This is Sippy, nurse and certified food addiction counselor, and we're off. Woohoo! Welcome to day one of my own personal challenge 30 days, 30 tips how to quit sugar. Today is day one. I am so psyched. So, I want to give you the first tip if you're thinking of quitting sugar. What does that mean? Let's define the term quitting sugar because, sugar can mean a lot of things. Does that mean we don't eat fruit? That's one of the tips. I'll answer that question next week. But there's sugar that occurs naturally in food, and there is sugar that is added to our food. And that is my tip for you today is my tip for you to define what sugar is to ask yourselves if it's a sugar that occurs naturally in the food that you are eating or has it been artificially added. Now, it's very important to discern between a natural sugar and an artificial sugar versus a naturally occurring sugar in the food versus an added sugar, because natural sugars can be added to the food. For example, if you have a date bar that they added date honey to it, right? Then it has added sugar in it. And what does it matter if it's date honey or white sugar that comes from beets, right? From beet sugar. It's still added sugar. You're still eating more sugar. If something has honey, that doesn't mean that there's no added sugar. That's the biggest, well, we'll talk about that in another tip. But then if sugar has been added, even, for example, milk products have a natural sugar in them, lactose. If it's occurring naturally in a plain flavored yogurt, right? Or some cottage cheese or whatever, or milk, then that's the kind of sugar that occurs naturally in a food, even a natural, whole, real food. But if they're making some kind of chocolate milk and they added the natural sugar of milk and they added lactose to make it sweeter so that they can say that they didn't add sugar, that's still added sugar. That's the first thing that's important to understand. When you're quitting sugar, but basically it's quitting the sugars that have been artificially added to foods rather than naturally occurring within a food like fruit or tomatoes or milk. The other thing that is important to understand is that white flours and starches is like potato flour, rice flour, corn flour, white corn flour. These are basically sugars that don't taste sweet. And when this food has been made like gluten free, but it's like I don't know, some chips that are made out of potato flour, then it's a sugar. White flours and white starches, even if it's tapioca starch, are basically, when they've been added to the food, they're basically sugar that just doesn't taste sweet. So that's, if you're quitting sugar, the idea is to quit the sugars that have been artificially added, especially to hyperprocessed foods, right? And we're going to talk about eating real foods in one of our tips. So that's my first tip to you, how to define what to quit when you're quitting sugar. See you tomorrow on day two, tip number 2. Bye.